There is a country in Europe where the clock never tells the truth. When the sun is overhead, the hour hand points to the number 2 or 3 in the afternoon. That is the place where people start eating dinner when neighboring countries have sunk into sleep, and children still run and jump on the street when the clock strikes midnight. Welcome to Spain, the place stuck in a phantom time zone for over 80 years, not due to geographical location, but due to a fateful order of history. Many tourists call Spain the country of lazy people, because in the middle of the day, this whole nation suddenly evaporates strangely. Shops slam shut, streets are deserted, like ghost towns, and all economic activities seem to stall completely for many hours. But that scary silence is not an expression of enjoyment. It is the silent scream of the human body before the brutal harshness of nature, and is the painful remnant of a wrong political decision. In the past, why did a handshake between two dictators in 1940 make an entire nation lose sleep until now? And why did the scorching heat of the plateau region shape an uncopyable lifestyle? If you want to understand deeply about a resilient culture refusing to bow before the pressure of time, then find a very comfortable seat and stay with me. In this video, your presence and empathy are the greatest motivation for my team to continue digging deep into the little-known, hidden corners of history. Today, please temporarily put aside romantic footages about flamenco dance or flashy bullfights to together tear apart the curtain of prejudice about laziness and touch the naked scar of history. We will go find the truth behind the clock's running off beat, where an entire nation has been kidnapped by politics from natural light for 80 long years. Part 1. The historical trick of General Franco and the shadow of the World War. Part 2. The survival war with fire monster, the deadly heat of the Mediterranean region. Part 3. The price to pay regarding economy and the resistance of indigenous culture. Are you ready? Let us turn back the clock hands with me to step into the mysterious world of Spain. Right after this. Part 1. The trick of history. When the clock runs faster than the sun. To understand the suffering of Spaniards, we need to look at the world map in terms of natural geography. This country lies on the same longitude line as England and Portugal. This means that, according to the laws of the universe, when the sun sets in London, it must also set in Madrid at the same time. For thousands of years, people here have lived, worked and rested according to this natural rhythm. That is time zone. GMT plus 0. GMT plus 0. Original time. Matching the sun. But then, a political incident happened, bending both space and time. Turning back to October 23, 1940. The world was shaking because of the Second World War. General Franco, the dictator leader of Spain at that time, had a meeting with Adolf Hitler at the French border. Although Spain declared neutrality and did not participate in the war, Franco wanted to show a friendly gesture to Nazi Germany, and that gesture was a freak order. From tonight, All clocks in Spain will be turned forward 1 hour just by an administrative document. An entire nation was uprooted from its natural time zone and thrown into the time zone of Central Europe, or called GMT+1. GMT+1. Understanding in the simplest way. This means that their clock was forced to run 1 hour faster compared to the actual position of the sun. Initially, the people thought that this was just a temporary change during wartime. But no. The World War ended, Hitler collapsed, and General Franco also passed away in 1975. But the clock was never turned back. The consequence is that, for the past 80 years, Spaniards have lived in a state of permanent jet lag. Permanent jet lag. Imagine your biological clock signals. The sun is overhead. It is time for lunch. But looking up at the wall clock, the hand only points to the number 1300, meaning 1 p.m. According to office regulations, you are not allowed to rest yet. You have to starve and work for 1 more hour until 1400, 2 p.m. to be allowed to eat. That is the reason why Spaniards eat lunch latest in the world. Not that they want so, but because their clock is lying. This phase deviation becomes most brutal. In summer, Spain is inherently famous for the harsh heat. Now adding the fact that the clock runs wrong until 10 p.m. The sunlight still flickers on the horizon. How can you coax children to sleep? How can the body secrete resting hormones when outside it is still bright, like daytime? Exactly because of that, dinner is pushed down to 9 or 10 p.m. is mandatory, and the noon sleep, siesta, is no longer a hobby. It becomes a survival break. The people need that short sleep to compensate for the fact that they have to stay up too late and wake up too early in the dark. That is the way the human body self-adjusts to resist a wrong political decision. Here, invite you to try placing yourselves in this ironic situation. If tomorrow the government announces changing working hours 1 hour earlier, but your body is still not awake because the sky is still pitch black, will you obey strictly? Or will you find a way to sleep make up like Spaniards? Are we being slaves of the numbers on the clock and forgetting to listen to the sun? Please share your perspective under the comment section. Spaniards teach us an expensive lesson. Although political power can change the time on the clock, it cannot change the biological rhythm of humans. The existence of the noon sleep is exactly the proof showing that nature always knows how to reclaim fairness for itself. Humans can set rules to control society, but cannot resist the laws of nature. Adaptation is not obedience, but is finding the best way to survive amidst paradoxes. Part 2. The War with Fire Monster and Plaza Culture. When the heat creates connection. If Part 1 was the story about a political trick, then this Part 2 is the direct survival war with wild nature. Look at the terrain map of Spain. Most of this country lies on the giant Meseta plateau, surrounded by mountain ranges, blocking moisture from the sea. This turns this place into a literal fire pan. In summer, In southern cities, like Seville or Córdoba, noon temperature frequently exceeds the threshold of 40, even 45 degrees C. Indigenous people call this heat fire monster. It not only burns skin and flesh, but can also melt asphalt and paralyze every will to labor. In that context, the siesta is no longer the choice of the lazy. It is a mandatory biological defense mechanism, like bears hibernating to avoid cold. Spaniards noon sleep to avoid heat. They close tight wooden shutters, persianas, turning the house into a cool oasis, and sinking into sleep to preserve energy. But the most interesting thing happens after they wake up, when the sun starts to soothe down. In late afternoon is also the time Spain truly revives. And this is the time a beautiful cultural trait takes the throne. The Plaza culture. The Plaza culture. In any town, no matter how small, its heart is always a central square. Different from the culture everyone's house lights up of many modern Western countries. Spaniards, after working hours, do not hurriedly crawl into closed rooms to watch TV. They pour out to the streets, gathering at ancient stone squares. The old sit on stone benches, watching children play. Youth gather singing and playing music, and families gather around outdoor tapa bars. Here, they practice a unique communication ritual called Sobremesa. This term implies the period people linger, sitting at the table after having finished eating. No one clicks phones. No one hurries to calculate money, to stand up. They sit there for hours just to talk, argue about football, politics, or simply share daily trivialities. Exactly, the harsh heat during the day forced them to live slower. And thanks to living slower, they have time to look deep into each other's eyes, to connect with each other in flesh and bone, rather than through virtual screens. Sociologists affirm, exactly thanks to this community living habit, that Spain has a loneliness and depression rate significantly lower compared to cold northern European countries. They are poorer materially, but they are billionaires of human connection. Here, try looking back at the living space around you. Does the place you live have any square for everyone to go out, sitting and talking to each other every evening? Or are we living in closed apartments where next door neighbors also do not know each other's faces? Please share honestly about your urban loneliness under the comment section. If you feel these stories about humanity and connection have brought a little warmth to your heart, then do not hesitate to gift the editorial team a like button right below the video. Your small action will help spread the message about this humane lifestyle to many more people. Spaniards have proven that nature, no matter how harsh, cannot defeat humans. Conversely, it is also the catalyst for humans to come closer together. It is not wealth that makes happiness, but exactly the connection between human and human is the most priceless asset that we can leave behind. Part 3. The price of time and the final resistance. Keeping identity amidst the storm of globalization. We have gone through painful history and the harshness of nature, but the story about Spain will not be complete without the perspective of the new era. In the 21st century, when the whole world is running after the working model, 9 to 5, from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., of Americans, then Spain is standing before a fateful crossroad. Many Western economists have criticized harshly that the siesta and this skewed time zone are killing national productivity. They think that interrupting the working day into two parts makes trading with the international become difficult. When stock exchanges in Frankfurt or Paris are most vibrant, then Spaniards again go to eat lunch under pressure of multinational corporations and the European Union, EU. The Spanish government has many times debated about removing the time zone of General Franco to return to the correct natural time zone, GMT plus 0. That is turning the clock back 1 hour to match the sun. They want to shorten lunch break so citizens can finish work at 5 p.m. and go home earlier. However, this is not just an economic problem, but is a war about cultural identity. The people, especially in rural areas and the South, resist strongly against this change. To them, imitating the industrial lifestyle, hustling of the North, is a step back of civilization. They argue that, why must we sacrifice gathering meals, the priceless sobremesa conversations, just to exchange for a few more growth numbers? In the GDP report, reality proves, although ironic, but Spain still produces giant business empires, like Inditex, owner of Zara, billionaire Amancio Ortega, the richest person of this country, built the fortune from exactly that rhythm of life, slow and durable. This affirms a truth. Productivity does not come from how long you sit at the office, but comes from how happy you are when working. Moreover, Spain is becoming the spiritual lung of the whole Europe. Millions of people from wealthy but exhausted countries like Germany, Sweden, have migrated here to retire or work remotely. They come not because Spain is richer, but because here people know how to respect living time. This country is teaching the world a lesson that capitalism has forgotten, that the final purpose of labor is to serve life, not to turn life into fuel, to burn the furnace for labor. Before closing this emotional journey, I want you to place on the scale a choice yourself. If chosen, would you want to live a life wealthy, but always hurried, never seeing the sunset? Or you accept a life just enough, but have time to sleep, a peaceful noon sleep, and eat dinner with family every day? Do not hesitate to leave your life perspective under the comment section, because no answer is wrong at all. Final part. Dear friends, the journey decoding the mystery of Spain here asks to be closed. From a trick of history, from the skin-burning sun of the Meseta region, they have turned those adversities into an admirable art of living amidst a world frantically racing against time. The slowness of Spain suddenly becomes so beautiful and proud. We are living in an era where busyness is celebrated like a prestigious medal. People fear the voids, fear the silence, and fear even having to face themselves in the moments of rest. But the story about the phantom time zone the artificial time zone, forcing an entire nation to live out of phase with the sun, for the past 80 years, has awakened all from that coma. It proves that true wealth does not lie in cities that never sleep, or beautiful financial reports. Wealth lies in the bravery to dare to stop. That is the moment humans are brave enough to pull the curtains, turn off the phone at 2 p.m., ignoring the world out there, screaming about sales, about growth, about endless races, to choose returning to the beat of one's heart, choosing a decent meal with loved ones instead of a hurried sandwich. The story of Spain is a steely reminder for the whole world that this life is too short to live according to the time zone of others, and too short to sacrifice health for borrowed dreams. The sun will still rise tomorrow, whether we run fast or slow. So why not allow oneself to be leisurely a little, to fully watch the beauty of the dawn? If this video not only brings knowledge, but is also a healing medicine for tired souls, then do not hesitate to press the subscribe button. Subscribe and ring the notification bell. Immediately share this video to friends, colleagues, WHO or day and night, selling their lives for work. Like a message. Rest, you deserve it. Your spreading is the priceless source of motivation for my team to continue the journey, to find these profound life values. Thank you for spending precious time to listen and understand. Do not let the watch on the hand rule your life. Remember that we work to create life, not burn life, just to exist.